So it's been a while since I last covered this David case. It's been about 3 months to be exact. The reason for that is because I just wanted to allow the case enough time and for more information to circulate. That way I wasn't milking the situation at all. I don't get paid to do this. This is more of a hobby. So I just want to cover the facts and every topic that I can to the best of my ability. And now we're at the point where the case has gotten far enough that I actually do feel comfortable making another video on it. Last time I covered this, for those who hadn't watched my first video, or if this is your first video of mine, David had just been first arrested where they found the inflatable pool and chainsaws in his garage, and that's about as far as that went. Today I'm covering even more information on why it's likely for him to get the penalty. Now, I'm sure everyone's familiar with this case at this point. David is essentially cooked on common sense alone. So that's how you know the case is bad. I'm going to start off with this disclaimer first before I start anything, and this transfers throughout the entire video. Everything that I speak on is alleged until proven guilty in the court of law. I also don't condone any of this behavior or anything that's said in this video, so there's that too. So if you're not familiar with this case and you've been living under a rock, last September on the 8th, the body of a child known as Celeste Rivas Hernandez was found killed and badly decomposed in the front of the Tesla that belonged to David. Now, at this time, David was on tour in Minneapolis for his album Withered. Side note, I had been listening to Petals to Thorns since it first came out, but I never really followed or subscribed to any of David's activities outside of just his Spotify or Apple Music. I remember when all the news headlines came out, I was actually in the gym, and my first thought when I saw this video scrolling on TikTok in between sets is, yeah, he definitely did it. Fast forward about 7 to 8 months, we figure out David had not been cooperating with the authorities like the information circulating had said. April 16th, 2026, David was arrested. So they did a sweep of this guy's house, and in the garage they found a cut-up kiddie pool and I believe to be 2 chainsaws. Apparently there's a third chainsaw, but I don't think that was ever found. Not only that, but there was an incinerator in his backyard. Either that or there was one on the way. So let's just sit back and think about this for a minute. You mean to tell me that this guy bought an incinerator and was just keeping it at his house? The more and more I think about it, it almost just seems like he wanted to get caught. Aside from other things like a random incinerator at this guy's crib, in California, there's active laws against burning anything. So I think that he realized that he wasn't able to use this. I don't even think he decided to throw it out or pitch it or anything. He's just like, I don't know, I have an incinerator now, so I'm just keeping that. The more and more I get into this, it's pretty obvious that he was basically just freestyling this shit. Before we get into any of the court proceedings, I just wanted to lay out the story so we're getting this straight. Using common sense, he has an online presence with this minor that he displayed in front of millions of people. He kills said minor girlfriend with the biggest crime paper trail to ever exist, brings his phone with him while he tries to dispose of said body. When that doesn't work, he decides the obvious to just leave her body in the car for months. So now that this body has been in the front of his Tesla for months, he decides he's gonna go fuck off on tour and go jack dick somewhere. And you might be thinking to yourself, why would you leave this body in your car for months on end? And no one really knows, but people are actually using this to argue that he didn't do it just because he has a lack of any sense. Now that that's all laid out, we can get into the court proceedings where we figure out probably not even the worst of this situation. It was confirmed that after the Uber was supposed to show up, there was about a 20-minute time in between her showing up and his bullshit backup alibi to send her a text asking where she is. And the part that throws me off so much is that he didn't even get it done quick and then just send a message immediately. He waited about 20 minutes to an hour and a half to send this message to, you know, back up what it is that he was doing or saying. And if you think that's bad enough, it gets even stupider. Later that night, he takes a random 100-mile trip to Santa Barbara, which Celeste's passport had so happened to have been found on this exact route that he went. And her phone activity completely stops after she had been said to show up at this guy's house. The entire time on this trip to Santa Barbara, David's phone and Tesla was tracked to be on this exact route through cell towers. If that isn't damning enough, over 40 videos and pictures of him and Celeste together, if you catch my drift, were found on his phone by the authorities. Along with that, it has been said in court that there was thousands and thousands of messages retrieved from David's phone between him and this minor. In some of these conversations, it relates to the termination of a. And David, the entire time, this entire conversation, he just brushes it off and he's trying to act like he's some sort of low cortisol nonchalant demon. So I'm extremely glad that I actually pushed this video back a couple of days because more information was actually just leaked. There's been this narrative going around that Celeste's family was okay with it and they just didn't care and they were allowing this situation because David's a millionaire and potential financial benefit, if you know what I mean. But recently it had been leaked that there was almost 40 calls from Celeste's parents to the authorities relating to this situation. Anyways, that's the facts of this case so far. I won't give much of my opinion just because I'm only here to state the facts, so I'll leave this video off here.